So over the past half hour or so, we've been discussing steps that can be taken to improve our digital infrastructure and by extension, our digital economy. Up next, we're going to hear from those like Angie with firsthand experience in this space. Michael Swoape is the Chief Operating Officer at 14Silver, a retailer of tabletop goods founded through a love of auctions. I have a love of auctions too. I'm just going to put that on the table. And estate sales. 14Silver uses multiple e-commerce sites, including eBay. Keira Kotler is the founder and CEO of Everviolet. Everviolet sells lingerie and loungewear designed for breast cancer survivors and patients, and she's gone 100% online. Deonte is a veteran and the founder of Black PPE. Again, truth in advertising. I just placed my first order on his website. So I got the deluxe version, which sells cotton face masks and other personal protective equipment to help communities stay safe during our current health crisis. A big welcome to all of you. Keira, let me just start with you for a moment. And I'm going to, we're taking questions from the audience, and I've got one here that's come in. It's from Alice Jones, who's the owner of Alice and Waffle. And she asked very bluntly, is there a future in e-commerce? So let me go to you.
Well, I do believe there is. As you mentioned, we went 100% online at the start of the pandemic. And we've seen, even despite a lot more people being online, a lot more competition, you could say, coming into this space, we've seen incredible growth, both from a traffic and revenue standpoint. We've also found that there's a way to reach more people in more regions, as well as to partner with more people online. So I think there's a tremendous future.
Now, how do you do it? I mean, I'm going to pick on Deonte for a moment. So I just went in, looked at My Black PPE and found his website and went to it because I knew I was going to be talking to him, and I wanted to journalistically compromise myself, and get that stuff. But when you're doing that, do you take the platform that you have where folks can come and buy your products, and do you link? This is for Keira. Do we take that and do you go to some of the other big e-commerce platforms out there like Amazon, like eBay, others that are out there, or do they find you? In other words, I'm interested in kind of the ecosystem of connectivity with the digital platforms. Keira?
Oh, well, for us, we do a lot of outreach through Google. We do a lot of outreach through social media. We also have a tremendous community that we build online in our various support groups, et cetera. But we do connect with other businesses. We do a lot of collaborations. We try and support each other. So I think there's a really lovely ecosystem for businesses to support other businesses.
That's great. And Deonte, since I was talking about your product, which so thank you in advance. I haven't gotten it yet. I didn't feel like we knew each other yet for a friends and family discount. Although you've got a good sale going on right now, I should say. How did you get started? I mean, how did you get started? What were the big challenges for you, and how are things going from an e-commerce perspective?
Well, for us, we got started out of a love of seeing what's going on in the world and recognizing that everybody didn't have access to products during a time period. And from being a person who has had brick and mortar stores previously, I was looking for a way to take the experience that we already have, our connection to get access to products, be able to bring products to the market to the customers in a quicker, more efficient way. So that was our way of getting in. The challenges were initially trying to find a way to reach out to all of these entities who weren't able to get access to products and expand that network so everybody knew who we were and how to get access to our products quickly and efficiently.
Well, one of the stories that I want to tell about you, if I have it right, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that you were a supplier of PPE and then you were having a hard time being the middle person in that supply to folks who needed PPE, who were trying to order PPE, that you couldn't even get it for yourselves. So you went out and constructed your own supply chain. You kind of outfoxed governors, maybe the White House. How did you do that, and to what degree was digital commerce, the deliverer on that? It's a fascinating story because everybody was in a crisis at that moment, and you seem to have swum through that crisis to a thriving business today.
Yes, we were looking and trying to source products for government agencies and hospitals, and we were watching the news like everyone else, and there was a challenge, one, for those entities to be able to have and find enough products, but also for the average person who wasn't looking for medical grade PPE to be able to get access to. So that was a outpour of individuals reaching out to us to try to get product, and we really felt bad that we couldn't provide it. So that was our way of carving a niche and reaching out to suppliers and makers to be able to get products into market quickly.
Well, thank you. Well, Michael, let's jump to you. You, as I understand it, your origin story was you were addicted, like I am, to auctions and buying, getting and buying. Maybe I do more buying than selling, but you were out of your small one-bedroom apartment, and now you have a 5,000 square foot facility. Tell us your story of what you're doing and how it came together. And again, within the spirit of today's conversation, how did you exploit the waves of e-commerce?
Sure. So the owner of our company, James Dyer, actually started the business out of his one-bedroom apartment basement. And he just had a love of going to estate sales and auctions, and he would find interesting things that kind of focused on tabletop. And we expanded from there. We went from the basement in his one-bedroom apartment to the basement in his three-bedroom house to now a 5,000 square foot facility where we employ 5 people full-time. So it's an interesting origin story for sure. And eBay has absolutely been instrumental in our journey to get there. We are a company largely founded on eBay, and our business started there and has now expanded to 5 other marketplaces.
So give people online, a taste of what you do, what you have. Are you buying from one place and selling to another, or are you filling a different kind of niche?
Sure. So we specialize in flatware, crystal, stemware, and china. And we sell on eBay both new and used, but in all of our other marketplaces, we sell just new product. So we work directly with major brands and major manufacturers to bring those products to those marketplaces. So we're authorized retailers for about 40 of the world's leading tabletop brands, and we offer those products across all of those platforms.
Keira, one of the questions that's been raised by those that have been either willingly looking at an opportunity or shoved into the digital online platform world is whether or not you can have real relationships with your customers, whether you can create enriching, ongoing relationships with them. And I understand in the area you're at, where you have breast cancer survivors and you're creating intimate apparel. I don't know that world, but I'm sort of moved talking about it. Does it become, what are your strategies so it's not a kind of, one and done moment, that you have an ongoing relationship with your customers that is meaningful?
That's a great question. So right when the pandemic hit, I was so struck by how challenging it must be to navigate a cancer diagnosis or to be a provider to cancer patients during that time. So the first thing we did was reach out to all of our medical partners and offer up whatever we could to help them support their practices and their patients. And what they told us was that because they were spread so thin, they really didn't have the capacity to offer the emotional or the psychological support that they typically would under normal circumstances. So we took it upon ourselves to really do a lot of outreach, to churn out content, to link their patients with our community. We have a journal series and a blog and an online support community. We also do one-on-one support. So for anyone who's online, if they're looking at our product, or even if they're just going through a hard time at the beginning of diagnosis or through treatment, we offer up support to them as best we can. What I feel right now more than ever is that we need to be authentic, we need to be present, we need to really reach out and be kind to one another. And so that's become really the forefront of what we're offering right now, in addition to our product.
I'm very moved by that. And Deonte, you have essentially your business, which you founded, is a Black-owned business. It's a veteran-owned business. I want to recognize you for your service and what you did out there for our nation. That I'm just interested, give you an opportunity to tell those people in the policy world that are watching now, what are they missing and what do they not know about a Black-owned, veteran-owned small business today that they need to hear?
Well, I think the most important thing that people need to know is there's plenty of them out there, right? There's a lot of us who are seeking to find our way into markets and into business, and we're excited, motivated business owners who are excited to bring markets to products to everybody. And as a veteran, I think it's important to see and recognize a lot of the skills that these veterans bring to the table that are unique and different in the world. That I think a lot of people who seek to help fund or bring opportunities for business owners, whether it be African American or veteran owned, it's a huge market. So we look forward to being a part of it.
That's great. And Michael, we got a question from the audience for all of you, but before I get to that question, I want to ask you about the safety. We just heard Marnie from eBay talking about, what's the social contract out there when it comes to, smart, safe, secure consumer sales and where you're buying from. And I'm just interested in whether or not you think we're good enough where we're at, or does there need to be more out there in terms of, I don't know whether to call it legal infrastructure or digital security infrastructure, for so many people who have been shoved online today. I'd love to get a snapshot from you about whether you feel the e-commerce world is as safe as it should be.
Yeah, I think shopping online is extremely safe. We've certainly come light years ahead of where we were many years ago. I think each marketplace brings its own set of regulations and its own set of rules. And some marketplaces are better than others when it comes to protecting buyers and sellers equally. eBay does a fantastic job of creating a safe environment that's good for both buyers and sellers, and that does a nice job of making sure both people are protected in the transaction. And I think that reflects in their customers. They're usually a happy group that is happy to find that hard to find item they've been searching for every day. And I think you'll continue to see that. All marketplaces have some levels of protection, but some do it better than others.
Well, it's wonderful. I could talk to entrepreneurs all day, and I just think each one of the little origin stories is so interesting. But we have a question from Kathy. Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Terrell. I'm here in New York City. I am the owner of I Love to Be Selling. I'm an online sales and social media consultant. And my question is, how can online sellers best prepare for holiday 2020?
Good way to end this. Keira, what are you going to do? What advice? What replicable advice can you give for preparing your online commerce for holidays 2020?
Well, I think we need to be prepared that there's going to be a lot more activity going on online. And sort of to what I was speaking about before, how can we differentiate ourselves by being authentic, by being meaningful, by reaching out in a way that's really offering customers what they genuinely need right now, whether it's our organic face masks or it's something that's really essential and critical to quality of life right now. I think that instead of superfluous items, I think it's going to be important to really focus on the essentials and what's really going on during the holidays, which could ultimately be very a challenging time from a COVID standpoint.
Thank you for that. Michael?
I always tell businesses stock their shelves early. When you're not busy, get prepared for when you're going to be. Our fourth quarter is always our busiest quarter of the year, and I think that's because we sell products that often are used when people gather at family events and gather for dinner. Tableware items and flatware becomes more essential at that time of the year. And I think we're going to see a very large increase in business because people are staying home more than ever now. And a lot of our sales have generated from people wanting nice things in their home. And I think that's important. And I think that is one of the keys to our success.
Fascinating. Deonte, I'm going to give you the last word on this cool question.
Well, I would say the same thing, that we have to get ahead of getting the products in. But the other significant and most important thing for us is to start marketing now. If we're preparing for the holiday season, we need to be reaching out to our customers now because everyone's purchasing well before the holidays. So this is the time to be preparing yourself and your products to market for your customers for the holiday season.
Well, thank you for that. I'll tell all of our viewers now, I rarely endorse anybody. I'm not really endorsing, but I'm going to, I think that your three companies are all doing cool things in cool ways, and it's great to be talking to folks that are so optimistic despite the toxic world and circumstances we're in right now. So to Keira Kotler, founder and CEO of Everviolet, Michael Swoape, Chief Operating Officer of 14Silver, and Deonte Cole, owner of My Black PPE, where I just made a purchase. Thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.